5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And pressed.
Fiona, why is this milestone important?
Well, in the words of CEO Stefan Powell, it's really means the company's become a real company, if you like. It's got real products, real customers, and hitting that milestone of making more money. They're making just over around $30 billion in revenue at the moment, which is pretty good for a company that's only started in 2017. And so it just feels like they've sort of hit that inflection point where they've established themselves now. It's still risky. They've got a lot of risky business ahead of them. They're developing a space aircraft, a rocket-powered aircraft, which they hope to fly twice daily into space. And they've also got their revenue-making green propulsion systems, their thrusters that help satellites manoeuvre in space. So they've got the two sides to the business, and there is still a lot of risk involved, but I think they've really cemented their place in the New Zealand space industry.
Why is there risk involved when we know companies that are already doing this kind of thing, Rocket Lab, and making a lot of money out of it?
Oh, there's risk in any new technological development. I think the risk is more around the rocket-powered aircraft because no one's done that before. It's a different concept to what Rocket Lab do. But, so there's always that, technological development and the money involved in developing that. It's many millions of dollars.
Sure. So what do the investors have to say about this progress?
So I spoke with Barnaby Marshall. He's a board observer, but he's also a partner with Icehouse Ventures, which is the largest of the venture capital investors in the company. He's really pleased with the growth outcome of the company and how it's going. He said, being in revenue by year 4 is pretty amazing for a company like this, a space transportation company. So he's really happy with how it's going. He said they've built credibility in the market, and that's brought in other investors, made it easier for them to bring in other money.
Are they going for more capital?
Well, companies like this are always raising capital, even though, it has hit profitability, rough profitability now, so it's making more money than it spends. It hasn't been a great environment for raising money, and it still isn't right at the moment, but Barnaby Marshall says that he's pretty confident they'll be able to do a significant raise in the next 18 months. They last raised $20 million in a Series A in late 2022.
Wow. Earlier this month, Dawn got CAA approval to fly its Mark II Aurora space plane at supersonic speeds. What is that, and what's next?
So this is the aircraft they're developing. They've done about 50 test flights under jet and rocket power so far at Glentana Airport in the South Island. And this approval lets them do a new test campaign to take it much higher and much faster, just to see how it goes under those sort of pressures. So the ultimate aim is to fly up to the Kármán line, the edge of space, which is 100,000 metres up. But this will let them go up to 70,000 feet and hit that supersonic speed. And it's really iterative testing. So unlike a rocket-powered ship, you kind of have a go and it might explode or it might not. This is really, you boost it each time as you go. And the really good thing about this is if it all goes well, they've already got a lot of interest from commercial customers and wanting to put payloads on that Mark II, which they hadn't expected. They thought that it was going to be the Mark III that interested commercial customers, which is the one that's still in planning stages, which can fly much higher. And so they're planning to do what they're calling a Mark II-B, build that next year, which is the same size sort of aircraft, but much more optimal and much better performance. And they'll use that if they can to get payloads if everything goes well.
Right. And you mentioned the in-space green propulsion, and that's the main revenue engine for the company. How's that side of things going?
It's going really well. I mean, that's the side of things that really brings in the dosh at the moment. They've got about 20 customers and they've got 76 thrusters in space. One of the Achilles heel with their green propellant system, though, has been that it's got a very limited burn time because they use very hot propellants on it. But they've managed to overcome that. They've actually designed a new injector system, and that's getting put into these new B-20 Generation 2s. Obviously, it takes a long time between design and getting things into orbit, so it could be another 18 months to 2 years before they're actually up in space. But they've definitely overcome that problem. And it's that constant iteration that they're doing all the time. They've just got so many development projects. One of the things they're involved in is with a company called Astroforge that's trying to fly up into space and mine minerals, these precious metals up in space. So they're looking to use Dawn's green propulsion system for that.
Amazing. Dawn CEO Stefan Powell wants the New Zealand Space Agency, he says, to act more like NASA and the European Space Agency. What does he mean by that?
So the New Zealand space industry currently is around 1.7 billion. That was a 2019 figure, which is the most recent. But new Space Minister Judith Collins has said she wants to grow it to around 10 billion by 2030. But what Stefan Powell's saying is, well, it's great to have that ambition, but where's the vision that how we're going to, how the space industry is going to impact the wider New Zealand economy and how the government's going to invest to achieve that. Yeah. So, for example, NASA and the European Space Agency, they set up a mission and they say, this is what we're going to invest in it. And then they ask companies who can help to come in and put bids in. Whereas, the New Zealand Space Agency, according to Powell, is saying, we'll fund your good ideas, but it hasn't come out and said, we want to do this. Here's a project you might want to, you could be involved in. And he'd like to see it be more proactive and do the latter.
Is Collins working on something like that? Do you know?
Not that I know of, no.
For more content just like this and all the latest business and political news, head over to mbr.co.nz.